Guys, it actually made it 1,000 miles. Who would have thought? Oh, wait. I would have, because this bike is freaking awesome. What's going on, guys? Chase on Two Wheels here, and behind me I have my 2023 CFMOTO 450SS, and guys, look at the dash. I literally, as I pulled into this parking lot, got to the 1,000-mile mark, and now that we're about 2 weeks out from giving this bike away over at wbrgarage.com, our website, by the way, if you want to win it, it's over there, I figured what a perfect opportunity to give you guys a long-term review and sum up the entire bike that I've experienced it. We got this bike with 20 miles on it back in 2023. CFMOTO just loaned it to us for a press loan. I liked the bike so much that I bought it so that I could give it away to you guys after I spent some time on it, because CFMOTO is new to the market. I wanted to really put the miles in and test out one of their bikes. So now that we've got 1,000 miles, let's talk about the bike, let's talk about all the mods that I got on it, and let's talk about the things I like and I don't like about the bike. Today is awesome. I love this. Let's get into it, guys. Guys, start this video, you're going to see me wearing these sunglasses, and they are the sponsor of this show and the channel. These are Flying Eyes, and they are undoubtedly the best sunglasses for motorcycle riders. There's a couple reasons why. First off, they are so thin on the arms that it doesn't hurt to have them on, because you know some helmets actually suck because there's not a lot of space here. Because they're so thin, you can very easily just put them on. They don't cause any pressure spots on the side of your head, and I have worn these things all day long and they feel fantastic. I mean, look how thin that is. Secondly, with being this thin, you would think they're fragile, but they are dang near unbreakable. I do not treat my sunglasses nicely, and these are no different, but they are so durable with how bendy these little arms are. I don't know how they're so thin and so flexible and so strong at the same point. It's absolutely ridiculous. But if you guys want to get a discount, I'll have links in the description. I love these sunglasses. Once you try a pair, you will not wear any other sunglasses inside your helmets. Thank you, Flying Eyes, for sponsoring this video. Links for the coupon code in the description down below. Let's get into the 1,000-mile review. Now, guys, like I said, we have had this motorcycle for over a year, and over that time, we have done a ton of content on it. And to make it easier for you guys, if you're looking into one of these motorcycles, I've made a playlist in the description down below, and it houses every video that we've done that features the 450SS in it. So that way, if you guys want to dig into more content, there will be a link down there for you. Also, this is a 1 year and 1,000-mile review, so this video is going to have a lot of stuff in it. So what I'm going to do is have timestamps for you guys down below in the little timestamp thing on YouTube. So if you guys are looking for a specific thing to know about this bike, you can click to those timestamps. Now, I want to get started with talking about all the mods that we've gotten on this motorcycle and letting you guys know what I feel about each one of them. Some of them I'm really glad that I did. Others I could have left out, didn't really need it. So let's go over the mods this bike has so you guys can understand what the bike's got on it that's not stock. So guys, when it comes to mods, we'll work our way from the front back, and the first one we got to talk about is this windscreen. This is a CFMOTO windscreen that they offer. It's a slight dark smoke. You can easily see through it, and I think this was a fantastic purchase. It makes the bike look so much better and gives it like that dark vibe. And also, installation could not have been easier. I'm not great at installing stuff, and I had no problem taking everything off and getting it installed. Very happy I got this windscreen. All right, guys, first up, let's talk about the levers and the lever guards that we got. Now, these are both CFMOTO parts that you can get from their parts catalog. The levers, I'm super happy with. They're adjustable. They have a very good feel. They're easily adjustable. And the cool thing about these levers is the 450 could be looked at as a beginner-friendly motorcycle, and I definitely think it's a great bike to consider. The problem is, with bikes that are typically good for beginners, they're going to get dropped a lot because you're not used to the balance of the motorcycle. And what happens in a drop a lot of the time is your lever will actually break. But these levers are fantastic because, one, they bend up like this, like a little 90-degree angle. So if you fell over, or the bike fell over, the lever would hypothetically pop up. If the lever did not pop up, if it hit at a very weird angle, it actually has a breakaway point here, which is this little semicircle piece, and that's going to make the end of it weaker, and that will break off, leaving the rest of your lever. That way you can actually get home. The levers I love. I wish there was a blacked out option. I don't love the silver, and I don't love the little red accent. I wish I could have a black lever with a blue, like this teal on the bike, accent like that. That's the only thing I would wish on the lever side. Now, as far as the lever guards, to me, they're more of a look. I'm not going to be racing this motorcycle, which is when you would need a lever guard so your lever doesn't hit another racer's lever and your brake lever get pushed in. So the reason I don't like the lever guards is because I've been doing a lot of videos for you guys, and when I have to put this bike on a trailer to take it somewhere, I have these Canyon Dancers, which are basically just cups that go over the edge of the motorcycle handlebars, and they allow you to tie the bike into a trailer. Super simple. I love using those, but because I have the lever guards on here, I can't use those. And since I'm not really racing, I don't really have a use for the lever guards. So if I were to go back in time, I would have probably skipped out on these. Now, if you want them for looks, they've worked fantastic. They look cool. It does give it a sporty vibe. I just don't see them being necessary at all, and they've caused me more pain than anything else, really, so I just skipped out on those. All right, guys, moving back some, we can talk about this back area. Here we have the comfort seat, again, another CFMOTO accessory that you can buy, and my goodness, this is one of the top 3 accessories that I would recommend for this motorcycle. The original seat is not bad, but if you're like me and you plan on putting a lot of miles on a motorcycle, a comfort seat is a fantastic option for you to be really comfortable while you ride, and this one is solid. Definitely recommend this one. It's also just a seat, so it's the 2 bolts that pops off, and then you put the comfort seat on, not really even an install. Moving back, we have the seat cowl. I did not buy this motorcycle intending to ride with anybody, so I didn't need the passenger seat, and I like the look of the seat cowl more, and it gives you this little backrest here, so not really a backrest, but almost like a butt stop. And that way, if you're riding and you accelerate quickly, sometimes the bike will make you slide back in the seat. This way you have something more comfortable that you will run into. So if you are buying this motorcycle and you are a single passenger, you're never going to have somebody with you, I love the look that this gives this motorcycle. I think it gives it a little more sporty vibe. Very here for that. And I was worried about the install of this thing, but it actually couldn't be simpler. I literally think it was 6 bolts and the whole seat comes off and you pop this one on. Getting it off is a lot easier as well, and that way you can access the panel on the inside if you need to do any more installation, which you might have to do for other pieces that we've got installed on the bike. So guys, here at the back of the bike, you can see one of my other top 3 favorite mods, and that is the Fender Eliminator Kit from TST Industries. When you guys see this bike stock, because of legal reasons, motorcycles have to have those long license plates that stick all the way out to here. The reason for that is the license plate legally has to be the most outward piece of a motorcycle. So to get this all the way out here past the tire, they have to put that long thing. So aftermarket companies don't have to care about that. So you get companies like TST Industries who have created a beautifully flush situation back here. Holds your license plate, includes the license plate light and the blinkers that are also LED and low key. I love this, especially with a motorcycle that the tail is so cool looking. I don't want to ruin the look of the tail with that long thing. So this cleans this bike up so much, and I love, love, love the side profile that this gives it. Definitely a top 3 upgrade if you've got a 450SS. Now, let's go to my favorite upgrade. Now, if you guys have seen what this bike looks and sounds like stock, you will know that that is not the stock exhaust. This is an exhaust that Yoshimura makes for the 450SS, and the engine type that this bike has, we'll talk about that more here in a little while, but because of that style of engine, the bike already sounded decent. When you put this exhaust on this motorcycle, it sounds incredible. You guys are going to hear it throughout this video. If you guys want to watch the install video that we did on that Yoshi exhaust, It is crazy, and I can tell that because of how many views that video has. You guys love the way this bike sounds now, and I love it as well. This is probably my favorite modification I have on the entire motorcycle. Not only does it look good, but it makes the bike sound like some crazy exotic monster bike when it's literally just a 450SS. Love that. Love that. Also, guys, we're going to have links for everything in the description down below, so that way you can find the stuff if you're looking for it out there and you don't got to be searching for stuff. So everything I mentioned in here, we will have links in the description. All right, on to more mods. All right, guys, before my knees break in half, we're standing on this one. But the next mod are these rear sets. Surprisingly, those are made by CFMOTO, and they are an accessory upgrade that you can get for the 450SS. So, a couple of the cool things about those is they are adjustable. You'll notice holes over here in the side. That allows you to change the position of the rear set to either be more aggressive or less aggressive depending on your height, or if you're a taller rider and you want the body position to be less aggressive, you can get the adjustable rear sets, lower the rear sets so your legs aren't so bent up while you're riding on this motorcycle. If you want customization of where your feet are, that is the only way to do it. For a guy like me, I'm 5'10" with a 32-inch inseam. I definitely wanted a more comfortable lower half to me, so that is why I went with those rear sets. So far, have loved them. They've done a fantastic job. My only issue with them is the same issue that I had with the lever. The only color option on these is the silver here with the red accents. I want blacked out ones, and I want teal accents like you see on the rest of the bike. That's my only gripe with those rear sets. Let's try a little forced perspective shot. You guys see these little black pieces on the end of the wheels? Those are axle sliders. I've got them in the front and I have them in the rear. And what they do is if the bike goes down, those axle sliders will hit the ground before other parts of the motorcycle. And that way they get damaged and not the really expensive stuff on the motorcycle. They're super easy to install and they don't really cost that much. And they're a great safety feature if and when your bike goes down. I can highly recommend those, especially if you're going to be doing more technical riding or track days where, you know, things can get a little sketchy. Okay, I'm tired of being tiny now. All right, so guys, final mod that we can talk about is the tune that this bike has. It's not necessary because this was not a full system exhaust. It was only a slip-on exhaust. But the guys over at Real Talk Power Sports got us a tune. All you have to do is take your seat off, grab your ECU, mail it off to guys at Real Talk Power Sports. They specialize in tuning CFMOTO bikes. And so many of the CFMOTO bikes have so much potential in them that you can get unlocked by a tune. I totally recommend you guys doing that. My ride on this bike after the tune, I was like, how did I get this much power out of not really doing any power mods? So if you're looking for a little bump in power, the ECU flash and tune is a fantastic option by the guys over at Real Talk Power Sports. That's the only one I can recommend because that's the only one I have tried. All right, guys, that sums up all of the mods that we've got on the 450SS. So let's jump on it, go for a ride, and talk about how I've thought about the motorcycle and how I feel about it now after spending 1,000 miles on this thing. There it is, guys, 1,000 miles on the 450SS. 1,000 glorious miles too, man. Guys, one of the first things I want to start this conversation off with is the conversation about reliability, because I feel like that's where CFMOTO has the hardest time right now. They are a Chinese manufacturer, which a lot of people make incorrect assumptions about. They're new to the market, so their name hasn't been proven yet. And their bikes really haven't been in the US for that long. And in the grand scheme of things of a bike review, I do acknowledge the fact that 1,000 miles is, you know, no issues in 1,000 miles isn't like a glowing thing, but there have been literally 0 issues with this motorcycle in that 1,000 miles. I will also note that this is my second CFMOTO that has 1,000 miles on it. If you guys are maybe new to the channel, I have a CFMOTO Ibex 800, which is their kind of middleweight adventure bike. And one of the cool things about the fact that this is my second CFMOTO is this is my first CFMOTO that has a CFMOTO derived engine. If you guys weren't familiar, I'm sure most of you are, but just in case you're not, CFMOTO used to have some sort of collaboration with KTM, and they were making some of the engines for KTM. So the engine in my Ibex 800 actually comes from the KTM 790 engine. If I remember correctly, I could be wrong, but I'm relatively certain that they are the exact same engine, just branded differently. So, you know, I always looked at my Ibex 800 as like, cool, I'm glad I got the reliability out of this engine. I say that because I rode it 1,000 miles in like one day. I'll link the video if you want to check it out. But, you know, I was like, wow, this is awesome. But it's a, you know, a KTM engine built by CFMOTO from what I understand. But the 450 engine is the first power plant that I've used from CFMOTO that is a CFMOTO built, a CFMOTO designed engine. And the power plant, you know, I'm skipping ahead of here, but the power plant of this bike is probably my favorite thing. I'll just leave it at that, and we'll talk more about it later in the video. But reliability wise, I have not had a single CFMOTO in my fleet of bikes that I have that have had any issues at all. And, you know, I'm just impressed by them, honestly. A brand that comes into the US, you know, I don't think any of us would be shocked if there were a little issues here and there. I think, matter of fact, I think the majority of people expect an issue from a CFMOTO bike for some reason, but that is just not the case. But yeah, guys, before we get into the weeds of this video, I really just love this bike. And you know what? Let's just go on to talking about the power plant. It's my favorite part. I want to hit on that. And we'll save all the stuff I don't like about the bike towards the end of the video. But this bike, if it did anything for me, it made me realize that the 450 area, as long as it's the right style of engine, is such a fantastic area as far as the balance of weight and power and capabilities on the road. It's just a beautiful area because we always play this balancing game with motorcycles, and if we want more power, we get more weight, and it's, you know, it's a back and forth game. Typically right now I stick with the 700 to 900 range as my really sweet spot, and this bike single-handedly made me move that dial from a 450 on the low end to 900 on the high end. That, in my personal opinion, is the absolute beautiful zone of lightweight with ample power. And in this video, I will be getting on the highway on this motorcycle just to show you guys that are curious, is a 450 powerful enough on the highway? Absolutely, 7 days a week, no question, can it handle the highway. I've honestly not been in a situation on this bike where I was like, God, I need more power. I have honestly been surprised. Here in America, dude, the highway system is nuts sometimes, and you got to be going with the quickness to keep up with traffic, especially places like here in Atlanta, and have had no problems. So if I've had no problems on the highway, I don't think you guys are going to have any problems on the highway. Been very happy with that power delivery of this 450. Speaking of power delivery and all that kind of stuff, let's talk about the style of engine, and we can go into the sound after that. I love this road and I love this bike on it. So the 450 here is a parallel twin style engine, and the more important part is it has a 270-degree crank. That is what gives it that grunty noise that you guys hear with this motorcycle, and that is why it sounds so good. Parallel twins also, personally, are one of my favorite class of engines. I feel like it just gives you such a good range of power and usable power, especially for road riding. And the 270-degree crank, I love the sound so much. So that's the sound, that's the style of engine. The Yoshi exhaust, as you guys have been hearing in this video so far, sounds incredible. And the thing that gets me so excited is, generally, the higher the bike, the higher CC of the bike, the better it sounds. And that, it kind of sucks, because us guys that don't want, a big 1000 cc bike, I'm down with a lower cc bike to like balance out some of that weight for certain situations, but generally. And what sucks is you can't normally get a low cc bike that has that good grunty sound. So with the 450SS actually giving you that grunty fun sound that gets you excited to twist the throttle, it gives people that want the lighter, lower cc bikes an option that can sound good. So props to Yoshi, props to CFMOTO for working together on that. I just think it's a phenomenal platform to make a really good sound out of a motorcycle. Next up, let's talk about the controls up here. One of the things I noted early on in my first review of this bike was that the controls, I didn't have a problem with them. They worked great, but they didn't feel and seem like super premium controls. They shouldn't, right? Because it's not an expensive motorcycle. But I just noted that I could see a little cost cutting there. I can happily tell you guys, after the year I've been riding this thing, these buttons they look brand new. They are holding up fantastic. They all click really well. They feel really well. And we can kind of go into the entirety of the bike with that, because I think everybody sees CFMOTOs, and some of the CFMOTO models are a little cheaper than their competitors. And I think a lot of people see that and they wonder like, oh, it's cheaper, so the quality of the bike is cheaper. And as far as the 450 goes, that is not the case. You are not going to get on this motorcycle and feel like it feels different than a Japanese counterpart. I feel like this 450SS is one of the bikes in CFMOTO's lineup that they got the fastball pitch to them, and dude, they just reared back and smacked the hell out of that thing, and it flew out of the stadium. This bike is great. It's for a great area of the market, and I think they did an overall amazing job with it. Now, as far as comfort on the bike, we've got the comfort seat on it, and we've got the adjustable rear sets. That does a lot of help for a 5'10" or taller rider. If you are a bit taller of a rider, I would almost require you to get the comfort seat and the rear set so you can adjust them to be a little lower. This bike feels really crunched up in the bottom half and then slightly relaxed in the top half. I'm not leaned over like this. I'm kind of slightly leaned forward. I will say, if you are a rider that's maybe 6'1", 6'2", and you're looking for a low cc bike, I would recommend you specifically go find one of these and sit on it and see how you feel, because at that height, depending on how you're proportioned out, the bike may feel a little cramped for you. So it's just one of those things that it might not be the right size bike for you, so go sit on it. I find myself having a slightly harder time getting my legs in position and where I want them to be on this bike, and that's because they're crunched up a little. And the reasoning for that is not necessarily the rear sets, it's that the seat sits so low into the motorcycle. So if I was to modify this bike at all, I would still love to have the seat a little higher up. I think that would be a welcomed upgrade for this motorcycle, and I think it would make it a lot more sporty, because if I was sitting higher up, I'd feel a little sportier. So that's just a note for my taller riders out there. Now, when it comes to maneuverability, this bike is primo status, guys. It's a very light motorcycle that has a lot of fun power, but I do feel like that power is given to you in a very approachable way. Even if you're at low speeds, it's got a decent amount of torque down low, to the point if you pop the clutch, which means, I'm rolling with the clutch and I'm giving it throttle, if I just release the clutch like that, the bike will wheelie without a problem. So it's got that much power. But as long as you're, on the clutch and you're navigating all that, the bike does such a good job of giving you that power in the exact way you want it. All right, guys, let's talk about the throttle real quick, because I think CFMOTO did the right moves with the throttle. So, as you can maybe tell, or if you didn't know, this bike is a cable actuated throttle, meaning you have a direct connection when you rotate the throttle to how much power your bike puts out. I love a cable actuated throttle. Some of my favorite motorcycles have that, and I think the reason I appreciate that a lot is because when you have a ride-by-wire throttle, which means you are putting an input signal to a wire, and that runs to the ECU of the motorcycle, and then the ECU translates that to how much power the bike puts down. When you have bikes like that, it allows for cool things like cruise control and power mode differentiation and stuff like that. But oftentimes, a ride-by-wire throttle is hard to manage unless you have a lot of really good electronics, and you don't get as much of a connection with the motorcycle. When you have a cable actuated throttle, it is literally just you actuating that throttle, and I love that connection that makes me feel with the motorcycle. Another bike that has a cable actuated throttle is an MT-07, and I love that bike for that reason alone. I just think it's my favorite style of bike, and I do love cruise control, and I'm not saying I want cruise control not in my bike, but if I would have had to choose a bike with a cable actuated throttle and a bike with cruise control, I would enjoy a bike with a cable actuated throttle more. So yeah, love the throttle, love the control you have. Let's move on to the transmission and the gearing. I have had no problems with the transmission so far. The gearing is exactly where I kind of want it to be. You know, I've spent enough miles on this bike now to where I know what gear I need to be in to get the type of power that I'm wanting. And I've done more technical riding on this bike, and I've had no problem navigating the gearing. So wrapping up our clutch section, the feeling I get through the transmission when I'm shifting through gears, it's a little light, but I've got no problem with feeling it. If I was to nitpick, I would say I want a touch more feel there. But I don't think I would complain about it at all as an owner of the bike. One thing I will complain about slightly, I will do after this red light. Haha, you see what I did there? I used internet trickery to make you stay a little bit longer in the video. Give me a like if you appreciate internet trickery. Anyways, guys, the only thing I would nitpick about the transmission is that the clutch is very light. Some of you guys might find that a pro. I am not a huge fan of a very light clutch. I like to feel that thing, and there is not as much feeling there. There are a lot of cops over here. We're gonna now get on the highway, and I can show you guys that a 450 has no issues getting on the highway. All right, we're gonna get on the highway. Nobody's behind us. So I'm gonna let everybody ahead of us get a little ahead of us, and we're gonna gun it. We're gonna do a 40 to 80 pull. Hell yeah, we're gonna do a 40 to 80 pull. All right, 40 to 80 pull. Sponsored by nobody. Oh, Flying Ice. That's who sponsored it. All right, on your mark. Get set. Go. But we're getting on the highway. Everybody's worried about a 450 and can it handle the highway. Bro, absolutely. Are you kidding me? This thing has no problem getting on the highway, getting up to speed, not getting hit by a giant truck. It's great. And remember, we're balancing power with weight. Why do you need to go any faster than what we just did to get here on the highway? You right? You don't really. Hey, we're stuck in traffic, and you know what traffic makes you use? Your brakes. Transition of the century. It wasn't that good. But let's talk about the brakes. We do have that single Brembo disc up front, and honestly, I've had no problems with the brakes at all. You know, I've done my little aggressive riding on this bike, and the brake feels fantastic. It's a freaking Brembo on a CFMOTO. I absolutely love it. I think it's hilarious. And one single caliper with a big brake caliper and disc like that makes this bike ample for stopping power. It's so light, you don't really need dual discs. And with that disc being that big, I don't even think it's having to kind of try. So I don't think you're going to have any overheating issues. That being said, I do have one final test that I'm going to do on this bike before we give it away, and I'll talk about that at the end of the video. All right, so guys, final thing we can touch on now really is the dash. I haven't really talked about the dash yet, but I've been so impressed with the dash. I've ridden the bike at night, I've ridden it in the daytime. Dash has been great. It's way better of a dash than anybody's going to expect on a bike that costs what this one does. CFMOTO kills the game when it comes to the dash department on every one of their bikes, so I haven't come into anything that has caused me to feel otherwise. So my opinions of the dash stay where they are. Love it, love the clarity, love the Bluetooth connectivity, just love everything. Oh, final thing, almost forgot, design. Love the way the bike looks. Love that they have integrated blinkers with good rearview mirrors. I think it is one of the best uses of rearview mirrors and blinkers on the market. It looks good. It's actually a motorcycle. It's one of the few motorcycles that you're like, you know what? I'm gonna keep that rearview mirror and I'm gonna keep the blinkers that are attached to it. It's a clean look. They did a great job. So styling, mwah, chef's kiss. Love it, love it, love it, love it. All right, guys, I have talked a lot about loving this, loving that, blah, blah, blah. Let's talk about some of the things I am not a big fan of this motorcycle. First off, as I mentioned, the levers on this bike are very light. And while that may be a pro to some, it is not a pro to me. Not a fan of the levers. Not the levers, but the lever, the clutch. I want more feel out of that clutch. When I have a little weight behind the clutch, I feel like I can get really minute actuations, and I feel like it's a little harder to do on this bike. Not the biggest fan, not a big deal. All right, my biggest gripe of this entire motorcycle is the body position. I can't get to a happy spot with it. So like I said earlier, the seat, you sit kind of low in this bike. Now, this bike to me feels like a bike that I want to sit more up in. I want to be a little more sporty. I want my seat to be a little higher and my legs to be farther away from the rear set. So what I did was I tried to get a comfort seat, which is a little thicker so it raises my butt a little bit. And then I tried to get adjustable rear sets, and that lowers my feet a little bit. So as you guys can see, I've tried to do mods that give me more space between my feet and my butt. And I have gotten the situation better than it was, but I still haven't gotten it in a place that I'm really happy with. I can't really decide where I want to go with this motorcycle. Like, do I want it to be real racy, or do I want it to be more casual and relaxed? And I love that the adjustable rear set is adjustable. I love that that's an option, and it certainly helps. For me personally, it doesn't get the bike into what I personally would fit into. And inevitably, that's a size and fitment problem on my part, not really the motorcycle. So that's honestly my biggest gripe. I know that is a meh gripe, but I mean, like, I don't know what to say, guys. This is a fantastic bike at a fantastic price that does a lot of things incredibly well and has a lot of attention to detail. I've had to do installs on this bike. I've done the oil change. I've replaced parts. And even when I start getting into the motorcycle, things are laid out in a very easy and understandable way. And it's just like everything has forethought, and I really appreciate that. Now, before I end the video, I do want to tell you guys I have one more test and one more big mod that I'm installing on this bike that I think is going to take it to the next level. Now, as the bike is, the suspension is great. For road use, I think it's great. If you like doing really technical riding, it is a bit soft, and I wish it was a little harder. You can tell that when you're changing positions, the bike takes a second to get settled, and then when you're heavy on the brakes, the bike dives a good bit. Now, one of the things we can do to fix that is a pretty massive mod, and that is to get a different suspension setup, and that is what we are doing. In our final video, it's taken a while to get all the things worked out, but in our final video on the 450SS, I have linked up with a company that built me personally for my body weight with my gear on a set of suspension, front and rear, and we have a new set of tires we are getting on this bike. And once we get that installed, we are taking it to a track to test it out in the most ideal environment. It is going to be fantastic. If you guys are excited for it, make sure to subscribe to the channel so you do not miss it. It will be coming out for you guys next week, the week following this video. So as you guys know, we don't have a lot of time before we give this bike away. If you want to win it, you can grab entries at wbrgarage.com. That'll be the top link down below. After entries close, you will not have another chance. We will be selecting a winner at that point. So thank you guys so much for watching this entire video. I hope it gives you guys a better understanding of how this bike is, what mods to get, if it's the right bike for you. I hope that helped you guys out in selecting the right bikes for you. That's why we do all the work we do here on this channel, to help you guys get in the right bike so that you can have the best time riding that you possibly can. And if you're at this point in the video, you are in the outro crew, let me know with a comment down below, of course, after you like the video, and put OC in that comment. And let me know what your favorite mod is that I installed on this bike, or is it gonna be that suspension? Let me know in the comments down below, guys. I'm Chaseontwowheels. You guys ride safe out there, and I will see you guys on the next one. Later, guys. Yep, I messed up. I don't know where I am now. That, we will categorize that as an official whoopsie. Wait, am I going north? Did I want to be going north? Hold on, guys. I'm going to figure out where I am here in a second. Am I? Bro, I'm literally on a highway going in a direction I'm not sure about. I don't know if I'm going north or south right now. I should have probably paid attention to the highway signs when I was getting on the highway. But, oh well, I digress.